In my last class, I did promise that I will be discussing theoretical framework. Today we are going to dwell in theoretical framework to have an understanding of what it is and how it is used. Basically, theoretical framework is a conceptual structure that provides a foundation for understanding, analyzing, or interpreting a research. So, theoretical framework is so fundamental that it frames the analysis. It underpins the research. It undergirds the research analysis. It is a wrap. It's a bandage we use to nurse the wound. So it's not something you just do anyhow and leave. So it's something that when you do it, you realize that it's a foundation in which you build your analysis. So in determining theoretical framework, you must ensure that whichever way you're choosing must be relevant to your study. And it is derived, it mustn't, because it is called theoretical framework, doesn't necessarily mean that it must be a theory. No. Theoretical framework is derived from a theory, model, statements, generalization, and concepts that have been used by scholars within the academic circle for years. And in selecting any of your theoretical frameworks, you must make sure that it is relevant and in conformity with your study. Underline the word relevant and in conformity with your study. So when you choose your theoretical framework, you have the responsibility to show the founders of this theory, the proponents of this theory. Then you show the tenets of the theory, the assumption of your theoretical framework. You show the tenet and the assumptions of your theoretical framework. When you do that, you show the part of the theoretical framework that is relevant to your job or to your research. You are going to do that because those that formulated this theory didn't have it in mind when they were formulating this theory. So it is your responsibility now to show that the part of the theory that is relevant to your study. After that, you show the strengths and weaknesses of the theory, of the theoretical framework. When you do that, you have succeeded in adopting or carefully adopting theoretical framework. But however, the mistakes students do is that when they do that, they leave the theoretical framework at that level and leave. No, it ought not to be so. Your theoretical framework must find expression in chapter 4. It must guide your data analysis. Your analysis of finding in chapter 4 is where we want to see your theoretical framework. Because it is a framework of analysis that has to be relevant. You are expected to go back and pick your theoretical framework and domicile it in chapter 4. It must find expression in chapter 4. So that's what it should be. We need to see how your theoretical framework shapes your chapter 4. You don't do analysis of finding blanketly. No, you have to do it in conformity. Your theoretical framework must guide your analysis of findings in chapter 4. And your external examiner, when he reads your work, both PhD and master's level, and finds how your theoretical framework is playing significant role in guiding your analysis of finding in chapter 4, believe me, he will be very happy. Because the theoretical framework in chapter 4 brings out or makes your work scholarly and brings out the intellectual rigor in your analysis. It takes it away from ordinary analysis to intellectual rigor, intellectual conversation. And that is why it's important that your theoretical framework finds expression in chapter 4. Don't just do your theoretical framework and run away. But remember, if you find yourself in schools where theoretical review is allowed in chapter 2, if you have done theoretical review, maybe 6 or 10 theoretical review, you are not expected to choose your theoretical framework from those reviews. No, you are expected to go outside of those theoretical review to choose a different theoretical framework and to serve as your theoretical framework. Because if you do that, it amounts to repetition and tautology. So that's what it is. So let me summarize by saying that your theoretical framework is not just to talk about the propounders, talk about the tenets, talk about the weaknesses and strengths. It does not end there. Your theoretical framework plays dominant and significant role in chapter 4 under your analysis of findings. That's what your theoretical framework should do. So today, I've decided to discuss it a bit so that we have understanding of what theoretical framework is and what it does in a research. Next time, or in our next class, I will be discussing research methodology. See you in our next class.